My Father's Hands That Winter by Paula Meehan. That year there was cold like no other winter. Every morning going out was a gymnastic affair. Even the steps inside our house, nearly to the door of our flat on the 3rd floor, were iced over. Mrs. Mac broke a leg, and Harry Sticks, for the first time in his life, he said, found it too hard to beg. We became technicians of the slide and forward propulsion, of throwing your body, arms wide open out into some zone of contract with the air, where coming to a stop, ever again was taken on trust. The city looked good enough to eat, and weather vane was a new word I had picked up from a storybook. Our feet were always wet and numb and blue. It is why I remember my father's hands so clearly. He was out of work. It must have been through desperation on the cusp of Christmas that he took a job in Cartons as a turkey plucker. 4 buttons, he said, and I saw a frock like the girls in the storybook, all fuddy-duddy in ribbons and flounces and black patent shoes. His hands were swollen, scratched raw and bloody from the sharp ends of feather, of sinew, of tendon, from the 14-hour day, from the bite of the boss. At the window I'd watch each morning, impatient for dawn and ice engineering. He'd boil up a big pot of eggs, school lunch for us children. He'd button down the younger ones' coats gingerly, and tie up the laces of their shoes, and tuck in our scarves at our delicate throats. An egg in each pocket to keep us warm, old socks on our hands to guard us from chilblains, a kiss on his forehead to keep him from harm. The city must have thawed at last and unmagic that winter when I reached the age of reason. The past was a new territory I could explore at leisure and at will by pushing on the unlatched tenement door. I can hold in mind forever now my father's hands that winter, and the city walls and railings freaked with snow.
An extract from Immaculate by Oliver Lansley. Mia speaking.
Fuck off! All right! Okay! Hang on for Christ's sake, I'm coming! What?
Yes, I've just done it. I've got it here. I'm looking at it now. But it doesn't say anything yet. I don't know how long. 5 minutes? The pack just says a few. This is ridiculous. I can't be. It's not possible. No. Literally. Biologically, no. Literally. I literally haven't had sex since Michael. I know. I know. Well, there's definitely something in there. I can feel it moving around. So how do you explain this massive fucking bulge I'm hiding under my sister's jumper? Because my sister's fatter than I am and my jumpers don't fit. Yes, I'm sure it's not just gas. 3 minutes. Okay. Something's happening. I can see something. There's a line. There's a blue line. What the fuck does a blue line mean? I'm pregnant. Fuck. That was my friend Rebecca on the phone. She's 3 years younger than I am and has never had a boyfriend for longer than 7 months. She says the idea of having children appalls her. The mere thought of a small, bald, wrinkly human being crawling out of a delicate feminine area is enough to make her avoid sex forever. She even has nightmares about it. Fields of tiny babies, all with the faces of her father and mother, all running around and shitting their pants, while she runs around desperately trying to change their nappies. And she can never keep up. And there's a constant stench and never-ending screeching howls from the many soiled, screaming, wrinkly little monsters. At this point she wakes up in tears and rings me, who is always fast asleep, and I say, "Calm down. You don't have to have children. You're on the pill. You use a condom. You're protected. Have a bloody hysterectomy if you want, then you know you're safe." It's a preventative problem. They don't just appear in the womb out of nowhere demanding to be bred. Well, they don't. At least that was my understanding. But this isn't about Rebecca. This is about me, who is, as you can see, pregnant heavily. Which is odd to say the least. You see, I actually haven't had sex since I broke up with my ex Michael 9 months ago, and as you can probably imagine, we didn't have sex for at least the last month and a half of being together, so my condition is somewhat puzzling. I'm pregnant. I'm fucking pregnant. Heavily.
An extract from Merry Massacre by Johnny McKnight, Layla speaking.
Online dating is slightly weird. You've only got the profile picture to go on. And that's assuming it's a picture of themselves. That and the profile description. He might look like David Beckham, but he might have a voice to match. Oh. What first attracted me to Mark was his punctuation. He knew his commas, knew the difference between the 3 theirs. He even spelled accommodation correctly. I felt it was cyber destiny. He was 35, worked in managerial consultancy, and lived in Troon. Now, there are rules to meeting strangers. If you're in any way unsure, I suggest a visit to www.kissmegoodnight.com/30+ and gagging for a man. It's somewhere public and well lit. I opted for the art gallery in Glasgow. The website suggested that visual stimulus was a good opportunity for love to blossom. I even did a little research, RE, the type of work that would be there, so I could show off a wee bit and look knowledgeable. Oh, Mark, a barrel cook. Did you hear she died? Terrible loss. Victoria Wood's a fan, calls them Rubens with jokes. Makes me look cultured. Mark said he would be wearing a black suit with a red tie. I thought this was a good sign. Shows decisiveness. I like that in a man. I obviously didn't have a clue what I'd be wearing, so I told him to look for a leggy brunette with a dazzling personality. I thought he might have laughed at that. Instead, he asked me if I'd be wearing a jacket. Depends on the weather, I said. Oh. A disaster was probably the best way to describe him. As soon as I saw Mark, I thought, this just won't do. This just isn't me. It was his eyes. The way he looked at you made you feel uneasy. Like he was looking just a bit too closely. Janet said it was because he was boss-eyed. Oh, that's the other thing about a blind date. Always have a friend on standby. Someone at the end of the art gallery to ring your mobile with a fake emergency. No point wasting time. Babies to be made, houses to be bought.